Have you ever realized the hands that once fed your child are now unwelcome in their kitchen? My name is Dorothy Mitchell. I am 71 years old, and my hands still remember teaching my son Michael how to crack eggs when he was 5. The way his small fingers would fumble, and I'd guide them gently, patiently. They remember kneading dough for Sunday dinners, stirring pots that fed him through childhood, adolescence, and into the man he became. I tell you this so you understand that last Thanksgiving, when I walked into my son's kitchen and offered to help his wife Amanda prepare dinner, I wasn't trying to take over. I was simply doing what mothers do, what I'd done for 37 years. But Amanda turned from the stove, looked at me with barely concealed irritation, and said 5 words that felt like a door slamming in my face. I'd rather do it myself. I stood there, my hands still reaching for the vegetables I'd been about to chop, and I looked at Michael, waiting for him to say something, anything. But he just stared at his phone, scrolling through whatever was more important than his mother's humiliation, acting like he hadn't heard a thing. That was the moment I realized I'd lost my son, not to his wife, but to his own cowardice. What happened over the next 6 months would test everything I thought I knew about family, boundaries, and what a mother owes to a son who's forgotten what he owes her. But let me start from the beginning, so you understand how small rejections pile up until they bury you alive, and how sometimes the only way to breathe again is to stop pretending you don't notice. It didn't start with cooking. It started 2 years ago when Amanda joined the family, fresh from a childhood where she'd apparently been taught that mothers-in-law were competition rather than allies. The first few months were fine, polite, careful, everyone on their best behavior. But gradually, slowly, the exclusions began. I'd suggest we meet for coffee, and Amanda would have sudden plans. I'd offer to babysit my granddaughter Emma, and Amanda would say she preferred her own mother. I'd send over a dish I'd made, and it would come back days later, clearly untouched, with a note saying they'd been too busy to try it. Michael noticed, I'm sure he did, but he never said anything. When I'd mention feeling pushed away, he'd say, "Mom, you're being sensitive. Amanda's just independent. That's a good thing." Independent, as if wanting to be part of my granddaughter's life made me clingy, as if offering help made me intrusive. I started second-guessing every interaction, every phone call, every visit request. Was I asking too much? Was I the problem? The kitchen incident at Thanksgiving was just the culmination of 24 months of being made to feel unnecessary. We'd arrived at their house, my husband Robert and I, with our traditional contributions, homemade cranberry sauce and the pumpkin pie recipe that had been in my family for 3 generations. Amanda accepted them with a tight smile, immediately placing them on the counter, away from her carefully arranged ingredients from the organic market. I watched her move around the kitchen, clearly stressed, trying to manage too many dishes at once, and my instinct, honed by decades of hosting holidays, was to step in and help. "Amanda, why don't I take over the potatoes while you focus on the turkey?" I offered, already moving toward the stove. That's when she said it. Not yelling, but with a coldness that was somehow worse. "I'd rather do it myself, Dorothy. I have a system." A system? As if my 37 years of Thanksgiving dinners counted for nothing. I glanced at Michael, who was standing right there, close enough to have heard every word. He kept his eyes on his phone, thumb scrolling, face carefully neutral. "Michael," I said quietly, "could you help me bring in the rest of the things from the car? Anything to get him alone. To ask him why he let his wife speak to me like I was a stranger offering unwanted advice, rather than his mother trying to help." In the driveway, I finally said what I'd been holding back for months. "Michael, did you hear how Amanda spoke to me in there?" He sighed, the kind of sigh that said I was being difficult. "Mom, she's stressed. Hosting Thanksgiving is hard. Don't take it personally."
Don't take it personally. Michael, she dismissed me like I was nobody, and you just stood there. You didn't say a word. He ran his hand through his hair, looking everywhere except at me. What do you want me to say? It's her kitchen. If she wants to cook alone, that's her choice. It's your kitchen, too. It's your family. And I'm your mother. Exactly. You're my mother. But Amanda is my wife. I have to live with her. I can't take sides every time you two have a disagreement. This isn't about taking sides, Michael. This is about respect. She's been pushing me away for 2 years, and you've let it happen. You've helped it happen by staying silent. He looked uncomfortable, trapped between loyalty to his wife and whatever residual guilt he felt toward me. Mom, I'm sorry you feel that way, but maybe you need to give Amanda some space. Let her find her own way of doing things. Not everything has to be done the way you did it. The way I did it. The way I raised him, fed him, taught him, loved him. Suddenly, that was outdated, unnecessary, something to move past rather than build upon. I looked at my son, this man I'd given everything to, and I saw a stranger. Fine, I said quietly. I'll give her space. I'll give both of you space. I went back inside, told Robert I wasn't feeling well, made our excuses, and we left. Amanda seemed relieved. Michael looked guilty but didn't ask us to stay. We spent Thanksgiving alone at a restaurant, eating turkey that tasted like dust, and I cried in the bathroom between courses. After Thanksgiving, I made a decision. I stopped reaching out. No more suggestions for coffee, no more offers to babysit, no more dishes dropped off with hopeful notes. If Amanda wanted space, she'd have it. If Michael wanted to pretend his wife's coldness wasn't happening, he could pretend in peace. Robert supported me. You've done nothing wrong, Dorothy. Let them come to you for once. But they didn't come. Days became weeks, weeks became months. I'd see photos on social media. Emma's birthday party I wasn't invited to. Family outings I wasn't included in. Moments I should have been part of but wasn't. Christmas came and went, with a brief, awkward exchange of gifts at their door. No invitation to stay, no warmth, just transactions. Michael called occasionally, short conversations where he'd ask how I was doing, but never why I'd stopped visiting. He knew why. He just didn't want to address it. By March, I'd accepted that this was my new reality. I'd raised a son who chose peace in his marriage over standing up for his mother. I couldn't change that. All I could control was how much I'd let it hurt me. Then in April, my phone rang. It was Emma, my 6-year-old granddaughter, crying. "Grandma Dorothy, can you come get me? Mommy and Daddy are fighting really bad." My heart stopped. "Where are you, sweetheart?" "At home. They're yelling about you. Mommy says you don't care about us anymore. Daddy says you're just giving space like he asked. I don't understand. I miss you, Grandma." I was in my car within minutes. When I arrived, I could hear the shouting from the driveway. I rang the doorbell, and Michael answered, his face red and angry. "Mom, what are you—" "Emma called me. She's scared." "Of course she called you. You've been poisoning her against me since—" "I haven't spoken to Emma in 4 months, Amanda, because you made it clear I wasn't welcome here." For the first time, I saw something crack in her armor. Uncertainty, maybe even shame. "I never said you weren't welcome. You said it in every way except those exact words. And Michael let you. He stood by while you pushed me out, acted like he couldn't hear when you dismissed me, chose his comfort over my dignity." I looked at my son. "I gave you space, Michael. Months of it. Is this what you wanted? Your daughter crying for her grandmother while you two fight about whose fault it is that I'm gone?"
What happened after wasn't a fairy tale reconciliation. It was messy, painful, necessary. Michael finally admitted he'd been avoiding conflict rather than addressing it. Amanda broke down and confessed she'd felt inadequate compared to me, threatened by how naturally maternal I was when she was still learning. "So you push me out instead of letting me help you?" I asked. She nodded, crying. We talked for hours that night,
The three of us, with Emma asleep upstairs. We set boundaries, real ones, where everyone's needs mattered, not just Amanda's comfort or Michael's avoidance. I learned to ask before offering help. Amanda learned to accept help when it was offered. Michael learned that staying silent isn't peacekeeping, it's cowardice. Now, 6 months later, I'm back in their kitchen. Last Sunday, Amanda was making dinner and struggling with the timing. She looked at me and said, "Dorothy, could you take over the potatoes? I'm drowning here." And I did. Because sometimes I'd rather do it myself means I don't feel safe asking for help. And sometimes a son stays silent because he doesn't know how to speak without causing an explosion. But silence and distance taught us all what words couldn't. That family means showing up even when it's uncomfortable, speaking up even when it's hard, and making space for each other not by staying away, but by learning to stand together. So tell me, have you been dismissed by your daughter-in-law while your son pretended not to notice? Have you been told you're too sensitive when you're really just being excluded? Share your story below. And remember, sometimes the only way to be seen is to disappear long enough that they notice you're gone. Follow for daily advice on navigating difficult family dynamics. You're not too sensitive. You're just finally paying attention.